It's the start of a brand new season on Low Fuel Motorsport, and we're jumping straight into the action in Assetto Corsa Competizione. The lights have just gone green at the Nürburgring, and a stacked grid of 27 cars begin the charge to this troublesome turn 1. Now, I'm car number 24, but I've managed to qualify in P14. However, all that could change in an instant through this first corner. But astonishingly, it looks like we've pretty much all got through unscathed. There was one Ferrari in the gravel to the outside. That was Wolfgang Gittmeyer, who span out of P8, but everybody else has got through cleanly. Into this slow turn 3 then, the pack concertinaing together, and I just get drilled from behind. I'm trying to get off track and out of the way as quickly as I can. I get hit for a second time, and this race has unraveled in an instant. I'm back on track, but I'm carrying damage and I'm down in P27. Well, let's take another look at it. There must have been someone behind who either missed their braking point or was already involved in an accident. It's the yellow BMW by the looks of it. Marco Witt sliding into the rear of us and skittling out several cars there. Now, the big question is, did Witt lose it all on his own, or did he have a helping hand? We'll go back and check out the chopper cam. This will give us a better view. Witt's got the inside line through turn 2. There's a black Ferrari right behind him, Joran Solovic. Now, I'm watching that Ferrari. Is there contact? Yes, right there. Witt takes a big nudge, and that's what pushes him into the rest of us. So a complete disaster, that one. I finished right at the back and suffered a huge hit to my rating. But on the plus side, I've dropped down a split for my next race, which means I'm going to be far more competitive. And look at that, I've qualified on the front row. A few tenths slower than Sascha Becker's in pole position, but I'm one of only 3 drivers to post lap times in the 155s. So can I challenge for a podium? Can I challenge for a win? Because I've just been handed an incredible boost. The one driver on the grid quicker than me has just been handed a drive-through penalty. Sascha Becker's starting from pole position must have crept just a little bit too far forward before the lights went green. Becker's will have to go into pit lane within the next 3 laps. So that has blown this race wide open. Meanwhile, Marcel Souk's in the Lamborghini making a move around the outside into turn 2. Souk started 4th on the grid, he's now up to P2, so as things stand, we've got Becker's leading this race, but not for long. Souk's in 2nd, I'm in 3rd, and this is now a fantastic opportunity to fight for the race win. Right, let's go back and check out a replay of the start, and we can see just how far forward Becker's crept here. Now, at this point, as we round the final corner, I knew I was in the correct position. I was well within my green box on the HUD, but look how far forward Becker's is here. Probably a good 2 or 3 car lengths further ahead than where that Porsche should be. And as the lights go green, it is an instant penalty for Sascha Becker's. Well, Becker's wisely stayed out for as long as possible, taking full advantage of that clear track ahead to build up as much of an advantage as possible. We're now rejoining the live action towards the end of lap 3. This is the moment that Becker's has to go in and serve that drive-through penalty. So if we don't see the Porsche entering pit lane this time around, it will be an instant DQ. Either way, we're going to have a new race leader. Marcel Souk takes over at the front. I am promoted up to 2nd, and yes indeed, Becker's is in pit lane. Now, I'm currently holding the fastest lap of the race, but I'll be interested to see if I keep it. And as I cross the line, I have indeed lost the fastest lap. I suspected that might be the case because Souk's looked like he found some real pace on that lap. He's opened up a little bit of an advantage now. He's got a 1 second lead. And last time around he posted a 156.3. That's what's given him the fastest lap. Mine was a 156.4, so I'm not that far off. Meanwhile, behind, Simon Kret and Michael Sokolowski are both within striking distance. But I'll tell you what though, Souk's has made a right mess of turns 3 and 4. He was completely offline through that section, and that has enabled me to close right in. He was 1.1 seconds ahead. Now that gap is down to 0.2 of a second. This is exactly what I needed at the start of this 4th lap. Right, let's jump forward to later in the lap, because I now know that I am well in contention for the race win here. However, I've got to be sensible. We're only at 1/3 race distance. And in my previous few races, I haven't quite performed at the standards I like to. I've let frustrations get the better of me, so I'm determined not to let that happen again today. I've got the run on Souk's here. I am going to have a little look up the inside, but I'm not seriously considering a dive up the inside into this final chicane. I just want to put him under a bit of pressure and see how he copes with it. But speaking of pressure, boiled over behind me, this is what happened on the very next lap in the battle for P3 between Simon Kret and Michael Sokolowski. Now watch Sokolowski behind. He's got the run on Kret here. He's going to move to the inside. However, he's going to clip that raised curb. That pushes him out wider than he would have liked, and it pushes Kret out into the gravel. Now Kret keeps going, but Sokolowski is into the barrier. However, that did give me some much needed breathing room behind. As we rejoin the live action on lap 6, you'll see now that Kret is nearly 3 seconds behind. So I've got no pressure in the rear view mirror. I can concentrate fully on challenging Sooks here. Now I've stayed 0.2, 0.3 of a second behind him the entire time, but as we enter turn 7, he's just going to miss the apex through that hairpin. That allows me to get closer still. He's a little bit squirrely on exit. I am applying all sorts of pressure now on Sooks as we come up through these ultra fast turns 8 and 9. Right, we're going to jump forward again. We're now approaching the end of lap 8 and nothing has changed. I'm breathing down the neck of that Lamborghini in front. I'm still just 0.3 of a second behind, hoping that my continued pressure will force him into making a mistake, because although I'm quick enough to stick with him, I'm just not quite quick enough to get alongside him. And is this the mistake I've been waiting for? He's sideways through the final chicane. He's surely not going to save that. I lifted exactly the right time. I didn't want to get collected in that instant, but I have been gifted the lead of this race. I'm just looking into the rearview mirror and somehow it looks like Sooks did save it. Yeah, at the time I was convinced that Sooks had gone here. I don't know how he managed to keep that Lamborghini pointing in the right direction. Well, watch my reaction behind. I'm really pleased with my anticipation skills here. I just knew to lift off at the right time to make sure I didn't get collected in that. And somehow Marcel Sooks rejoins in second position, albeit under immense pressure now from Simon Kret in third. Right, this is a golden opportunity for me now to win this race. We're at 2/3 race distance. There's just 8 minutes left on the clock. I've only got a 0.5 of a second advantage over Sooks, so I need to push here. I need to gap the 2 drivers behind. And if I can just add another second between us, I can leave the 2 of them to squabble with each other, but I don't believe it. I've just made a colossal mistake into the turn 7 hairpin. I've just about managed to keep it out of the gravel, but that has gifted Marcel Sooks the lead back. Well, what an embarrassing gaffe. You're not going to believe what happened. My left hand was just a little bit out of position on the wheel. When I went to start downshifting, my finger slipped off the paddle shifter. So I didn't actually miss my braking point. I just missed the effect of the engine braking. Downshifted too late and it cost me big time. So the start of lap 10 and I find myself once again chasing the leader, Marcel Sooks. However, this time I've got problems from behind too. I've switched the TV cam on because you can see just how close Simon Kret is in third now. And I'm also worried about my lack of grip. I'm starting to struggle with these tyres. You may have noticed I got a little bit loose exiting T1 there, and I have been slipping and sliding my way around this Nürburgring circuit throughout this race. I do worry now that I may have ruined my tyres. Will that be a factor? Well, we're going to find out over these final 6 minutes or so. And I'm now back to within 0.3 of a second of Sooks ahead, so it really is as you were. Now, I forced him into making a mistake before. Can I do the same again? I've got to remember to not let my frustrations get the better of me. I've got to stay calm, stay smooth. I have managed to open up a little bit of a gap between myself and Kret behind. He is now 0.9 of a second back. I did get a little bit too close to Sooks there through turn 7, but I don't think it's cost me any time. I'm still within 0.2 of a second of the race leader. So let's use this momentum. Let's breathe down the neck of Sooks and see if I can force him into another error. Into turn 10, hard on the brakes. I do feel like I'm a bit smoother than Sooks through here. However, I'm not close enough to try and move up the inside. Turn 11 then. Sooks is a bit cautious on the brakes. I clipped the curb on the inside. That is going to cost me a couple of tenths on exit, and it might actually invite Simon Kret to make a move. Look in the rearview mirror. Kret is closing in fast. I'm immediately going defensive here to shut off the inside line into this final chicane. Kret alongside. We're going to be too wide through the chicane. Oh, this is dangerous. I'm trying to avoid the contact. I can't avoid the contact. I get nudged out onto the curb on the outside. We're still too wide. Exit in the final turn. Kret has the inside line and he takes second position. So yeah, that is a real blow to my hopes of a race win, all caused by just the slightest clip of the curb. Exit in T11. Now it gave Kret the momentum he needed to go alongside. I took the defensive route into the chicane, hoping that he would back out. He didn't. He challenged for the position. He had the inside line and he gets the job done. Back to the live action then. The start of lap 12. There's just 3 minutes left on the clock. Is a podium the best I can hope for now, or is the race win still there for the taking? Well, I'm within 0.3 of a second of Kret now, and he in turn is within 0.5 of a second of the race leader, Marcel Souk. So I'm switching the TV cam on. I'm hoping that Kret is going to put Souk under the same amount of pressure that I was putting him under earlier in the race. And let's not rule out Calvin de Souza behind as well. He's just 0.6 of a second back now in fourth, so if I make one more mistake I may not even get on the podium here. But for now, let's concentrate on what is going on ahead of us, and that is Kret putting Souks under an increasing amount of pressure. Look how close he is now. They're separated by just 0.3 of a second. And I'm working as hard as I possibly can to stick with them here. I'm half a second behind Kret, but if this battle ahead does turn ugly, I am well positioned to pounce. And look in the rearview mirror, de Souza is slowly but surely closing in, so this could become a four-way battle for the race win, a four-way battle for the podium. 4 into 3 doesn't go. Someone is going to have to miss out here. Hopefully it won't be me. It might be Simon Kret though, because he's missed his braking marker into turn 10. Kret runs out wide. He was in pursuit of the race leader, Souks. He just braked a bit too late and that has cost him big time. So I am now back up into P2. And Kret has managed to get back on track with only one position lost. Kret's in P3, however, he's got his hands full now with Calvin de Souza. The pair of them are locked in a battle for that P3, so hopefully they'll keep each other occupied. They're both almost 1 second back now. Right, how long is left on the clock? 1.5 minutes. So this next lap will be the last lap of the race. It looks like I've got P2 sewn up now, but can I challenge one more time for the race win? Well, it's looking like it might be a tall order at the moment because I'm 0.9 of a second behind Marcel Souks. Now, in the past, the more cautious me would have certainly settled for second position in this race, but I'm not going to do that. I've got one more lap to go, and I am going to throw everything at this. I've had 2 race wins in ACC. I want to make it a third. So from now on, it is win it or bin it. Well, I've had a fantastic start to the lap. I'm almost 0.3 of a second up on the Delta, and I've wiped out that advantage. It was 1 second across the line. It is now just 0.4 of a second, so I'm heading in the right direction here. And while I'm going to throw everything at this to try and get the race win, I am not going to endanger Souks. I'm going to try and be as safe as I possibly can around him while pushing as hard as I can at the same time. Now, I did lose a bit of ground out of turn 6. Hopefully I'm going to close back in into turn 7, but I just brake a bit too late. It sent me out into the gravel. Can I rejoin holding on to P2? No, I can't. De Souza gets past, so De Souza must have got past Kret as well. And I said I was going to push, I said I was going to throw everything at it, but I just threw a bit too much there into that turn. It was win it or bin it, and unfortunately I binned it. But at least I've still got a podium. Kret is nearly 3 seconds back, or have I got a podium because I've lost the rear? Coming out of T10, I go nose first into the barrier. Now I've got to rejoin for a second time, and I have surrendered that podium position. I've even surrendered 4th place. Well, talk about snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. What a disastrous final lap this has been. There's my first big mistake. I just got sucked into braking a bit too late. I'm out into the gravel and I dropped from 2nd to 3rd. Then at turn 10, I make an even bigger and more costly error. Simon Kret is 3 seconds back at this point. This is me throwing away a guaranteed podium, a guaranteed 3rd place up in smoke. Kret in the BMW gets past, Pat Zins in the Ferrari gets past, and I find myself relegated from 3rd down to 5th position. And that's how it stayed. The checkered flag is out. I have thrown away the race win. I have thrown away a podium here at the Nürburgring. But absolutely no complaints from me about this one. I said I was going to throw everything at it, and when you make a gamble like that, you've got to be prepared for it to go wrong, and that is exactly what happened here. Here are the classified results then. There I am, down in 5th place. Now, I made quite a few sloppy errors in this race, but the biggest and most significant one had to be the first one I made shortly after taking the lead of the race. That was my opportunity to make a real break for it and grab that win. But as soon as I ran wide and surrendered that lead, I put myself under more pressure and I ended up overdriving through the final couple of laps. All in all though, far more encouraging signs than there were worrying ones. I'm looking forward already to getting back on track. Cheers for now.